Sylvia, do we get started? Boy, this is dangerous to give a professor a mic. Two of them, actually. I agree. You're a professor yourself, so you know the deal. You know the deal. I get paid for the words I speak. Well, I'm honored. I haven't met you. How are you? I'm honored to be a moderator or something like that for this distinguished panel of people. I mean, wow. Wow. I looked at their background and resumes, and so I don't want to spend too much time introducing them because you already have their bios, okay? So we'll just dispense with that. I just want to get to the meat, as they say. And what a lot of meat we got here. Our first speaker is going to be Dr. Craig. And we finally found out who the mysterious figure named Satoshi Nakamoto is. And, you know, he sent 10 bitcoins, you must have done this, Craig, to a cryptographer named Hal Finney, and the world is unleashed. A whole new world is unleashed. What an exciting thing to be part of. So, Craig, maybe you can come up here and talk about that, okay? I don't know, you have any bitcoins with you?
Phone's on the table. So, really, what we're talking about is a system designed to make all of the problems in transferring money go away. It's not about anarchy, it's not anti-bank, it's not anti-government. Unfortunately, people don't read articles anymore. In the Genesis block, I put an article from the Times. That article discussed basically the Chancellor threatening banks, saying that if you don't implement the loans I want you to put in, I'm going to nationalize you. Well, that's not really anti-bank, that's anti-socialism at its worst. I mean, it's one thing to say, I want you to take these loans, it's another to say, I'm going to close you and make you owned by the government. Not something he had the power to do, so it's a silly threat. On top of that, I want you to think for a moment of a system that is transparent. The blockchain is completely auditable. That's not that it is out there and it's all secret. Every cryptocurrency, and there are 30,000 of them that existed before Bitcoin, that I know about. There could be more. There were distributed random proof of work systems before Bitcoin. One of those was Mojo Nation, Mnet. These all had proof of work and all the rest. The difference was very simple. None of them had logging, intentionally. Lightning networks are basically there to get rid of logging. Bitcoin was the first to implement traceability. Now, it enables privacy, but the blockchain is not encrypted. It is publicly auditable by every person on Earth. That should scare the bejeebers out of every dishonest government. It should also radically enlighten every honest politician. Because if you imagine now, this is a tool to expose corruption. Not all this stuff about hiding money on Silk Road. We're now up to over 1,300 people from Silk Road have gone to prison. 1,300 drug dealers off the street because they were stupid enough to think that Bitcoin's anonymous. It's not. Imagine now terrorist funding. How hard is it really to try and trace this and keep things safe? Imagine now that you have something that it is impossible to ever delete the logs. But at the same time, something that goes back to the old way of doing things with human intelligence. Not the NSA or Five Eyes watching everything on Earth and sucking down everyone's phone calls. Doesn't work on the blockchain. Rather, provably going person to person, the way that we used to do human intelligence in the intelligence community, and ensuring have a provable link. Imagine now that we can trace funds that way. Any honest government's going to love this. Imagine banking that is instant. not settling over days, instant. This is what we've been working on. At scale, this is the promise and what can be delivered. Imagine now someone working in the Middle East or Ghana, someone who has to leave and go work in America or Britain, who can now set up something in their home country. Someone, say, in Ghana, in a small village with not a terribly good internet connection. They can now construct something and earn money where they live. That's what we're talking about. And the reason for this is with micropayments, no longer do you need to have an ad-based internet. It is not Facebook and Google and Twitter. It is not the sale of advertising in a way that is going to consolidate everything to a small company group in one area in Silicon Valley. It is the old-fashioned way of having business where you care about profit. And when you do that, when you start actually opening that up, then someone anywhere on earth can build a business without thinking that the reason for building that business is to sell an app to Facebook. It's to have your own company that you will grow globally, that you can stay where you were born if you want to, and arrange with other people around you a system that enables you to build where you are, to keep industry where you are, to create new ways of doing things. For instance, monetizing and incentivizing humanitarian or environmental aspects of the world. Imagine there's lots of people in America who want to protect forests, etc. How do we do that? Sell rights to an area. We had Ostrom talk in economic circles about the problem of the commons. What if we get rid of that? What if we let someone own and manage a tribe, a few acres of trees where they are? Let them live in their area and earn money by protecting the environment, not cutting it down. Why not make it more worthwhile, not in Indonesia, to have basically deforestation? Why not have it worthwhile to go out there and cultivate the forest that we want to keep? Why not have people paid where they are instantly, sending images back, controlling this without the hierarchy that we have in, well, charities right now, where a small percentage gets to the actual end goal. That's what we can do with micropayments and instant payments around the world. Now, this also radically changes many other industries. First of all, information security. I used to be involved in that industry. The first thing any hacker does, anywhere in the world, delete logs. Why? Because hacking is generally getting into one system, getting to another, and building a hierarchy of systems within an environment to take over everything bit by bit. It can take years. If you have a log, an audit trail of any change that can alert you within minutes, and we can do that right now. There's companies that have been building on Bitcoin like CertaHash, and they offer an instant way of changing, recording file changes, of managing all of this, of alerting, and it can be monitored and the hackers can't change it. The information to do with logs is permanent. By doing this, how do you hack a system and get away with it? If we know all the information, good. Now we can take it even further. We can integrate all of this with IPv6. Just a network protocol, right? I know, except it's not. Some of the early implementations that people ignore include all of the developments in IPsec that go not only down to port security, but allowing you access to individual service offerings, files, etc. It means radically rethinking how we do everything on the internet. Because right now, we stick everything behind a firewall and we trust and we hope and it'll be right. Or as us Australians say, she'll be right, mate. Only problem is, it doesn't work. Go back a few years, we saw CertaHash. CertaHash were a PKI company. They offered digital certificates. They were compromised for at least 4 years before finally being found out because, well, basically Google updated and fixed certificates. And someone had problems and called the help desk. It turned out that practically everyone on Earth was compromised. I think 20 of the European states were known to be compromised. Let's see, America was compromised, NSA was compromised. Basically, you name it. On top of that, they had Microsoft signing certificates. So your computer would trust updates from basically North Korean and other hackers. Why? Because they were digitally signed. Think about that. If that had been alerted instantly, so that any changes to the certificate were put out, if that was announced, it would have been done in seconds. They would have known the certificates were compromised, they would have acted, and instead of millions of email addresses, millions of people being compromised, people in different countries around the world, activists, people in politically sensitive areas, all of that would have stopped. So, what I want you to think about is what transparency really means. If you're a bank, do you want to be the bank that people trust? Or do you want to be the bank that deals with people who are on international terrorist want lists? Do you want to be the government that every person in that country wants to lead them? Do you want to be stewards to your people? Or do you want to keep them in the dark? So this is what I want people to start thinking about with blockchain. It's not anti-government. It's not anti-bank. It is one thing. It's radical transparency. And I want you to start thinking how that can really improve everything that is being done everywhere. Thank you.
I met Sir Tim Berners-Lee, the founder of the World Wide Web many years ago, and I was on his advisory committee. So when you meet people like Craig, who are inventors too, and changing the way we do everything, Sylvia and I apologize. I really blew it here, Fatma, because you are the chair, and I don't know how I started this. I think, but no, I think, Fatma, we want to have you come up and say a few words and tell us what you're doing. Talk about new technology. She's into robots. Well, I know that. If you know her, then she knows you. Why don't you come up here, Fatma? I apologize.
Hello, assalamu alaikum, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, you can hear me? Okay. So, my name is Fatma Khalid al-Mukhaini. I am a robotic process automation consultant from Petroleum Development of Oman. I am really happy to be participating in a panel discussion among such professionals and to be speaking in this special day as it is featured as the Omani Women Day. So it's a special day for us as well. I'm going to talk to you about my experience in working with digital workforce. So, okay. So to tell you a little bit about myself, I work in automating business processes. I have 4 employees working with me, Salama, Musa'id, Fatma, and Najma. Salama is passionate about health and safety and environment, and she is assigned to HSC projects. She wakes up early in the morning, gathers information from different resources, and sends critical HSC reports across the company. Musa'id, he's a hands-on kind of guy. He likes engineering, and he's assigned to engineering tasks. He helps the engineering team in estimating the cost, ensuring that we validate what we pay. Fatma, she is good with numbers. She's assigned with the finance department. She's working with the vendor performance updates and communicate with over 600 vendors. And Najma, our superstar, and Najma in Arabic means a star. So as her name states, she is our superstar. She helped us out during the pandemic when we were challenged in communicating with employees, during the vaccination campaign, and when the lockdown was happening in the country. Najma was creating she was one of the projects that she was working on was the road pass letters. So during the lockdown, Najma was creating the road pass letters for us. So these are the employees that are working with me. And I'm sure many of you are wondering why I'm telling you about my employees and their daily tasks, and it's something like normal. So ladies and gentlemen, Najma, Musa'id, Fatma, and Salama, they're all robots. So, yeah, this is the exact reaction that I wanted. So these robots, we treat them similar to our employees. We give them names, they have accounts, they have access rights, depending on the tasks that's in their hand. It is actually an interesting experience on how these robots are helping us in working on tasks that were challenging once to our employees or time-consuming to our employees. To tell you a little bit about the robotic process automation, it is basically a software program that mimic the human actions in the machine. So, they automate routine and mandate tasks. This is all about robotic process automation. There are several benefits of this technology. It's an emerging technology, and the benefits are uncountable. But from the benefits, RPA provides accuracy. It will increase the productivity rate. I will not go through all the benefits, but one of the unique benefits as well is the reliability. The robots can work 24/7. For example, Salama is working around 4 a.m. So there is no employee who will work at 4 a.m. So these are some of the benefits of RPA. One of the unique benefits of this technology is you don't need to change your systems to embed this technology. The robots will work throughout your systems, throughout your applications. Going through the benefits, the applications of this technology, it can be used everywhere, whether it's in healthcare, financial services, accounting, customer services. For us, we use it in petroleum, exploration, and the list can go. So since we started our journey in 2018, the technology was new to us, and finding professionals working in this technology was very difficult. So we started building up the capabilities of the resources that we have to embed this technology. Since we started, we managed to save over 60,000 man-hours, addressing 52 live processes. We reduced our time to market to 47 days, and we have processes in development and in the pipeline as well. I think similar to my experience, I'm going to see robots added to our organizational charts that work together with the humans. And I will close up with this statement: if a robot can do it, we were never meant to do it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Fatma. We'll probably have some questions about robots later on. Actually, Latif should have followed Craig because he's another inventor, founder of Internet Protocol version 6, dealing with infrastructure. That's very important. Just as a sidebar, people always confuse the internet with the web, and I tell them they're two separate architectures. Everyone thinks Al Gore created the internet, but we know Sir Tim Berners-Lee was a sole inventor of the web. But Latif, tell us about your experiences with blockchain and how it impacts Craig and all of us. Thank you.
Thank you for that kind introduction. I hope I'll get my slides. Otherwise, I can just, while waiting for this one, in this room, who has his own internet protocol address, IP address? Interesting. Gonna get back to you. Let's suppose we are in the 60s, and I would ask you this following question. Do you have your own phone number? See, the difference is that today you have your own phone numbers because that's really empowering you. And in the internet, you're not empowered at all. So you need to have your own IP addresses. As a matter of fact, multiple of them. And then Greg can leash his blockchain on you, as a matter of fact, for your benefit. So the end-to-end empowerment is really fundamental. And this we don't have, so we have already somebody in between. You know, he calls it Silicon Valley. I say anyone that has a server is taking care of you. So he tells you what to do. So you lose the end-to-end policy that yourself should define. It's somebody else who is giving you that policy. That's why security is not created by you, but created by some. But since we don't have our own IP addresses end-to-end, and if you have your own IP address, my question to you, do you know somebody who has an IP address? You said no. So you cannot have end-to-end in this case. You're alone. So you will not be able to empower yourself on the internet. I will not go into detail in these things, so that's why it's fundamental that we empower everyone to be on the internet, not as just a tourist. And this is where the first thing is the IP addressing has to be increased from just 4 billion IP addresses on V4 to trillion IP addresses that will last most probably in the next couple of thousand years. And in terms of deployment, it's doing very well in the Middle East, especially in Saudi Arabia and the UAE. In Oman, there's a bit of work to be done. We have only about 15%. But in terms of deployment worldwide, Asia, obviously because they don't have enough IP addresses, that's why they are the first one to take on this thing. So China is not shown there as number one, but they are because they have 700 million IPv6 users, followed by India. But on that graph, because of Google stats, showing India as number one today. But for sure, India is going to be the first blockchain nation in the world down the road. So there are some policies which are very important done across the world. So for instance, the US would like to move to IPv6 only. So divorce from the current protocol as it is 50 years old. It has not really been updated. As a matter of fact, we have introduced a technology called network address translation, which means that we cut the end-to-end. So somebody in between will give you the policy. It is becoming a telecom internet. It's no more as the original internet itself. France, it was very interesting to give 5G licenses only those that have said to do IPv6, which is a very interesting model to do that. So congrats to that model because France was a bit behind. And by doing so, now they are number one even in the world, which is quite interesting.